Yes, thank you for giving me chance to raise the voice of those people who are in prison and suffering under the eyes of the West country. And this is thanks to the attack of the NATO on 2011. We go back to the same subject, because if it was not this intervention of the NATO in 2011, Libya will ever, never come to this cause and this point. It's a drama, it's chaotic, it's a shame what's going on in Libya against the Libyan people, because it's the Libyan people who pay the price. We heard at the NATO go there to save lives and to help people, but it's the opposite way.
So welcome to the Herland Report, Madame Linda Ulstein. You are a human rights activist, born Algerian. You are the founder and president of the Norwegian Human Rights Organization in Libya, working for the rights of the Libyans and speaking up internationally for what is going on in Libya at the moment. And we know that you are also the spokesperson for the Libyan prisoners. There are so many incarcerated ever since the 2011 NATO war. We have seen how Libya has deteriorated into a bloody civil war. 3 million people, approximately, have left the country and do not live in the country anymore. And we see a high number of dire issues as Libya has turned into a failed state. And you have recently spoken about a situation of 45 men, young boys and men, condemned to death in Libya in a case where the courts were to acquit them, but due to pressure put from the militia warlord, they were sentenced to death by the same courts. Can you explain about this, please?
Yes, thank you for giving me chance to raise the voice of those people who are in prison and suffering under the eyes of the West country. And this is thanks to the attack of the NATO on 2011. We go back to the same subject, because if it was not this intervention of the NATO in 2011, Libya will ever, never come to this cause and this point. It's a drama, it's chaotic, it's a shame what's going on in Libya against the Libyan people, because it's the Libyan people who pay the price. We heard at the NATO go there to save lives and to help people, but it's the opposite way. It's so many stories to say, but we start with Ain Zara. You have Ain Zara A and Ain Zara B, and you have the prison of Rwimi, and you have Rada.
This is in Tripoli.
In Tripoli. And you have, of course, in each region, you have in Benghazi as well, who's Haftar and Haftar's son ruling the prisoners as well. You have Misrata, you have you have the prison of Zikketh. It happened, a drama in prison of Zikketh. You have as well the military base in Misrata, with women as well in prison. You have children, you have old people and young people in prison in Libya. In Libya now, whatever you do, if you want to take even the house of someone, just go and say, he belonged to the Qaeda, put him in prison and to resign for his house and his goods, and so on and so on. This is the Libya of today. This is the democracy the West promised the Libyan people for. This is what the NATO promised the Libyan people. This is the West country, USA, Sarkozy, and all the people, and the Qatari and Turkey, and all those people who participate on the miserable life of the Libyan people, from Britain to Italy, and all these people who are after the oil and the money of the Libyan people.
Yes, because it's such a paradox, because when we look back to the way Libya was before 2011, it was the richest country in Africa, a welfare state, a middle-income country. There were so many benefits, and the Gaddafi government also paid so much down to further southern Africa. I mean, I was born and raised in Africa, and we used to hear of all the things that Gaddafi also did to help alleviate the situation in the rest of Africa as well. So it's such a shock, because we were told in the Western media in 2011 that the NATO had to go in there because Gaddafi was killing his own people, which later was proven to be a complete lie presented to the UN. And the 2016 House of Commons report, UK report, also showed that these were all lies. But we were told at the time, and this is how the war was justified, that the West was going to bring democracy and peace to Libya. And the horror all over the Middle East, and we have to understand this in the West, that when we say we are bringing Western democracy and peace, it turns out we are bringing the extreme opposite. It's a horrifying story, the story of Libya.
I can promise you, the NATO bring the blood to Libya. The NATO bring Al-Qaeda to Libya. The NATO bring the end of Libya. The end of the happiness of the Libyan people was finished in 2011. There is no even money in the banks of Libya, and we just mentioned it was the richest second country in Africa. There is no money. People are standing with no salary. I have an auntie who's living there. She don't get her money, her salary for 1 year. People are working and they cannot get paid. There is no currency, there is no money in Libya. The people who, of 17 February who participate on this revolution, who's from nothing, and the people who they was from Gaddafi and they betrayed him, they are the one who take all the money and share them with the West country.
It's appalling to listen to these stories, and please let's go back to the Ain Zara example. Yeah. Tell us in detail what as an example of the many examples of what's happening in these militia-run prisons.
You know, if you go just in YouTube, in the video, you will find out how the people of Tawarga was cooked in water and oil, and even other people, not only people of Tawarga. It's a drama what's happened to the loyal people of who they call them the loyal people for the regime of Muammar Gaddafi. And example in Ain Zara, this 45 person from Muslim who they was accused of this case of what we call 107 highway, they was accused by killing civilian. And we know very well the really truth, it was Qatari people, and it was even people from different country was shooting civilian people, and they know that, but they put the blame on the people of Muslim, because Muslim, they stand by the regime of Gaddafi and they defend Tripoli against all this invasion of Qatari, Israel, American soldier and Italian, and from all over the world, you can say, from Turkey, from Al-Qaeda, ISS, these fundamentalist people and so on. The people of Muslim, they stand against the invasion of Tripoli, and they let them to pay the price for that by taking all the boys of Muslim and even women's, and they put them in prison with the case of shooting and killing people. And this is not true, because I was, in contact with their lawyer. I was in contact with the families, and I was in contact with some organization. I can give you a little example of Rwimi Mersel. Rwimi Mersel, when he was arrested, he was only 15-year-old. And it was in a football camp, a fight in a football camp with somebody else, because they make a goal and he don't know the other guy, his brother, is working with the militia. He went to complain to his brother. The brother go home and they arrested Rwimi in the age of 15-year-old. And by a good luck, there is one prisoner was with Rwimi. And he witnessed, and he told me, and he's not in Libya, he's in he's in Tunisia, and he told me, I was together with this young boy you was writing about, Linda. He contacted me, and he told me, yes, the story, it's true. It was a football camp fighting. They take him. He was only 15-year-old. They beat him to death, and they let him to sign, or you sign or you are dead, until beating and suffering. And he have to sign. The poor boy, he signed, and when he go to the cell, he was, crying. I did kill no one. I did kill nobody. And they let him to sign. He was killing 5 or 6 person, and he get, death sentence. I have other boys handicapped in Zara. I have some prisoner. They was handicapped. How a handicap can take guns and go to fight? It was, a punition. The militia, they punish all Muslim, all the boys, all the young people of Muslim, just because they was loyal to the regime. And this 45 person, I was going one by one. No one of them was killed anyone. And that's the big shock. That's why I fight so hard for the case of Muslim in Ain Zara.
And it was a number of articles in the Arab media as well, which we reported on at Herland Report. And as well also the UN went off, and the EU came with a statement saying they are worried for the development in Libya due to the fact that militia war leaders actually control the courts. So in this case of Ain Zara, that many of these young people were to be acquitted because the proof was there, they didn't do it. Yet there was some pressure exerted on the courts in such a manner that the judges and the court leadership decided to condemn them to death after all. So it's worrying, and the international community is also watching this. The question is whether they do much. But also there's another massacre that's been spoken much of, the massacre of the Rwimi prison. I think this prison was later renamed to Ain Zara, also Ain Zara B, I do believe. But can you explain what happened in the Rwimi massacre?
In the Rwimi massacre, it was around maybe 14 or 15 person, they get free from the court. And instead, and it was the month of Ramadan, and the end of the month of Ramadan is coming Eid. It's like, Christmas in Europe. And the family was very happy at the parents and the fathers and the, husbands will go back home. Instead, they take this 15 person to a corner. They torture them in a very horrible way. And if you go to Libya Holocaust, you will see the picture, the horrible picture. You cannot believe it. Let me to explain to you by some witness inside the prison who they was now. They are in Algeria and Tunisia and different country. They witnesses, and they tell me at the people who they torture them, they take with a bottle of wine on the table and some tablets, tramadol and ecstasy and so on. When you take alcohol with tramadol and alcohol with the ecstasy and alcohol with tel, and you go inside the room torturing someone, this is not a normal human being who's torturing you. I have some example. Ali Zubaydi, he was a sportive guy. When he go in a second prison and he go out, they put, they crucified him. They put needles on his hand, on his legs. I have a proof, I have picture. And, and I got all this information from one organization who was taking care of the case of Ali Zubaydi. He was tortured just because he was the bodyguard of Saif al-Islam and the bodyguard of Muammar Gaddafi. And of course, almost of people, when the NATO they take aggression, and this, people coming from Qatar and the Emirati and Turkey and this and that, of course, the people, the men and the women of Tripoli, they refute that. And they defend their houses because, of course, it's snipers killing women and children and, killing everything moving in the front of them. Do you know at when the people of the 17th of February, when they get injured, Muammar Gaddafi, he gave the order to take them to the hospital and to help them, because he say this is a plan from the West, and my people, they don't know this plan. They are victim of their own ignorance, and they are Libyan. Help them. Muammar Gaddafi, this is with proofs. he gave the order to help even the Libyan who is from 17 February against the regime, because he say they are poor and they don't understand what's really going on. This is a big, game of the West. They are victims as well. He gave the order to help them and not to kill them. It's the opposite way of what the media West is saying. Even the lady, when they say about raping, after we found out and she admitted it was not true, it's the people who asked her to say that, and she's in prison in America, this lady who was making the big scandal. And they say the soldiers the soldier of Gaddafi was taking some drugs for killing the people, and this was a lie from the media, just to have a good excuse to go in. And because of the NATO now, all these people in prison, they are suffering and paying, a high amount for nothing. And you have the drama happen in Zara. The same drama happened in Rwimi, the same happened in Rada prison, and especially in Misrata, in Zikketh and the military base. In Zikketh, there is a group of the people who they was loyal to the regime, and they was arrested. The order was to kill them slowly, not to kill them at once. Take information and kill them slowly. Then the prisoners, one of the prisoners, he survives. He's from Ben Walid. And one from Sir, they tell me what's happening. Inhuman, I cannot tell you what I heard. That's why I get so angry, and I raise the voice of those people. They have the right to be defended and hear by the West media what's really happened to them. This is a really drama and really inhuman what's happened in prison for the prisoners in Libya.
And what you're speaking about really is war crimes. And one would assume that Amnesty International and the UN would go heavily in to examine what really is happening in Libya. Yet we see very little of that, which is a great paradox, because Tripoli is under the Western-backed groups now. Really, I mean, Western-backed government there with al-Sarraj. So one would expect the West to look carefully into this, because human rights is something that we pride ourselves in. But it seems that we don't look into it when it happens to Libyans, which is something that is a shame on our behalf. The Libyan population living in fear of abductions, of rape, people being killed in the most gruesome way. Thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands are being kept and incarcerated in the jails that are privately owned, many of them, or privately ruled by these militia, creating a fear in the population and fear within the state institutions, so that people do not dare to do anything else than following the orders of these militia warlords, who are, rumor is, increasingly getting very, very rich somehow in Libya. Because justice is very important, and to get justice for the Libyan people, as well as justice for any nation, that should be our aim.
Of course, it's supposed to be like that, but to take justice. But the whole case, it's very difficult to understand, because this is a decision was made by Obama, by Hillary Clinton, by Sarkozy, by the highest level people who are ruling the world. Then that's why the United Nations have a problem to go in Libya and say the truth and to judge this militia, because it's that you put the blame more on the NATO and the people who they invade Libya and make Libya chaos than the militia, or these people like Mustafa Abdel Jalil or Ahmed Jibril, or all those people who steal the money of the Libyan people and are outside Libya, or the warlord of Libya, the militia who are ruling Libya and stealing and having all the money of the people. Of course they are wrong, but I put more the blame on the West, who make this drama and this mistake. Even Obama, he admitted, he say attacking Libya, it was a big mistake. We don't know because we get the wrong information. It's not me who's saying this.
No,
it's Obama who say that.
And again, like we mentioned, the House of Commons report 2016 from the UK as well, stating that there were presented an immense amount of lies in the Western media, and that created the opinion, got the public opinion, swayed it towards agreeing to attack the Libya in 2011. But it's just such a big question why the West does not clean up the mess in Libya. And this is why we're talking about the Libyan prisoners as well. It would be great when we come to a situation where the Libyan warlords lose their power and are not able to loot the Libyan government money-wise the way it's been happening today and in the past years, and that order would be reinstated in Libya in such a way that state institutions can take care of the prisoners and the prison situation. And also this would bring a great honor to whichever leader in the West that would take upon him to solve this situation and to reinstate order in Libya. And it seems that most of the Libyan people really support the reinstatement of Saif al-Islam al-Gaddafi, Dr. Saif al-Islam, and it remains to be seen in a free and open election whether that is correct or not. But it seems when you look at the Libyan tribes that the support is much there for him, as many remember how well Libya was governed under his father Gaddafi, and also they remember his role, Dr. Saif al-Islam's role in liberating and helping out in so many housing projects, and also prior to 2011, and him having his doctorate degree from the LSE and being such a competent person. Yes. And he knows personally many of the Western leaders as well. So, but on that note, I would like to thank you, Madame Linda Ulstein, human rights activist, for taking the time to come here to the Herland Report to speak on behalf of the prisoners and what is happening in Libya. Thank you.
I thank you for to raise the voice of those prisoners, because the situation of the prisoner in Libya, I have no word to say it. It's so horrible, and it's so sad, and to see the Libyan people living this, unfairness in prison. We hope the United Nations and all the organization to stand by these prisoners, by the Libyan people, the prisoners of Zara, who they have the penalty of death, or what's happened in Zikketh, or what's happened in the military base in Sirt, or all the rest of the prison, even the part of Haftar as well. Then we hope the world have conscience to interfere and help the prisoners in Libya. And thanks you a lot.